inequality and promote dignity and justice for all. And so today's conversation brings together voices committed to equity and inclusion, and of course, transformation, because we are not just here to listen, but here to engage, to reflect, and equally to become agents of change in our various spaces. And we would just like to encourage everyone who is joining and who is already here to feel free to share your questions and thoughts as well as your reflections in the chat room as our guest speakers present what they've got for us today. So we will also, in the course of this event, share some of your contributions during this interactive segment. And before I waste much time, I would like to go straight away just to acknowledge our CEO and founder, Dr. Nikki Depina, who is actually our host for today. It's a pleasure and honor to have you, Madam, and we will definitely be hearing from you towards the end of this program. And it is my honor this time around to begin this event properly with our special two guest speakers. And to begin with, we are going to start with the first speaker, and who is known else by the household name within the Global Peace Let's Talk, Dr. Neja Sachdev. And she is a retired associate professor in English literature and former vice president at SSK Girls Degree College, Prayagraj. Today, she will be speaking to us on the topic, the role of racism and feminism in the search for Black cause, the role of racism and feminism in the search for Black cause. It will be important for us to note that Dr. Neja's work explores how literature and feminist thoughts intersect with racial identity and justice, offering critical insight into the struggles and narratives of marginalized communities. So, ma'am, Dr. Neja Sachdev, please, it will actually be an honor for us to have you speak to us at this point. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Rosaline. A very good afternoon and a warm welcome to everybody, especially to our CEO founder, Dr. Nikki, to our moderator, Dr. Rosaline.
Ma'am, you are muted.
You're your muted, please.
Sorry. Once again, a very warm welcome and a very good afternoon to all of you, especially to our CEO founder, Dr. Nikki, our moderator, Madam Rosaline, and my co-guest speaker, Dr. Sheminaz, as well as other dignitaries who are present here. As already Madam Rosaline has said, my topic is role of feminism and racism in the search for Black cause. Now, if we trace the history of Blacks, we will find that, and already we know that Black men and women have always been victimized, and how their color has biased the opinions of men as well as women, from treating them as equals and differentiating them from others in body, sex, and mind, and how, with the passage of time, they have learned to establish their own self and space in life, facing all the odds that they had to undergo. Now, let me talk about this a little more in detail. Black women who have been from the time of slavery, the mule of the world, have stumbled blindly through dark alleys, who've been abused and mutilated in body, so dimmed and confused by pain that they considered themselves unworthy even of hope. Life for them has never been easy. In histories of Black experience, for example, the women are either background figures refracted in a monolithic mirror of blackness and maleness, or they are extraordinary leaders such as Sojourner Truth, Harriet Tubman, Charlotte Hawkins Brown, and Frances Harper, who just happened to be women. Sojourner Truth had said that I could work as much as a man when I could get it and bear the lash as well. And aren't I a woman? Now, racism and sexism never allowed their selfhood to emerge and mystified reality for them as well as for whites. In the race conscious society, Black women have been portrayed as matriarchs, mammies, lewd women, castrating bitches, and Black men have been depicted as shiftless, no good, violent, sexual savages, and they were made to assume feminine roles, which meant that they were to be passive, dependent, and non assertive. They are depictions of social roles Black men and women were supposed to play because the whites have seen the Blacks as sexually uninhibited, and this view of Black permeates both their reality and their fantasies. Now, if we take Black women, we will find that they are individual artists who have different attitudes towards the creative process. And actually, if we take one of the Black woman writers, Alice Walker, she was preoccupied in her lifetime and in her works for exploring the oppressions, the insanities, the loyalties, and the triumphs of Black women. Gwendolyn Brooks gets her ideas from life around her, or she goes into my interior meaning the interior of the Black women. Gail Jones is interested in telling stories that happen to be there. Toni Morrison says that I just know when I'm trying to develop the various themes I write about. The people who best manifest those themes for me are the Black people whom I invent. Now, another writer, Gloria Naylor, has also stated that her energy was spent in creating a woman's world, telling her side of it, because she knew it had not been done enough in literature and in life. Zora Neale Hurston was also committed to the survival of a people's cultural heritage as well. In women's history, works by white scholars, whether men or women, concentrate on the oppression of white women also in male dominated culture and relegate Black women to footnotes that can be easily missed. The truth of Gerda Lerner's statement is therefore irrefutable, belonging as they do to the groups which have traditionally been treated as inferiors by American society. Blacks and women, Black women especially, have been doubly invisible. Their records lie buried, unread, infrequently noticed, and even more seldom interpreted. Angela Davis writes in Woman, Race, and Class. From the very beginning, the reality of Black women in this country was shaped by the synergistic relationship of race, sex, and class. During slavery, they were workers first, women second, and always Black. And the three identities locked them into positions of vulnerability. Black feminists of the Combe River Collective write that it is difficult to separate race from class, from sex oppression, because in our lives, they are most often experienced simultaneously. So sexism and racism actually go simultaneously. Sherry Moraga believes that the only reason women of a privileged class will dare to look at how it is that they oppress, that is, the whites oppress, it is when they come to know the meaning of this oppression and understand that the oppression of others hurts them personally. She feels if there is any need of a revolution, then we women need each other. The subject of feminism also burst into a clear view in the 19th century in America because it answered a need to represent in language a series of intentions and a constituency just cohering a new moment in the long history of struggles for women's rights and freedom. The real goal was a complete social revolution, freedom for all forms of women's active expression, elimination of all structural and psychological handicaps to women's economic independence, an end to the double standard of sexual stereotypes, and opportunity to shine in every civic and professional capacity. Now, another fact is that feminism and racism evokes the visionary image of a true woman. Suffrage movement after the Civil War suffused a feeling of pride in sisterhood. Feminism's protest is always posed in terms of women's perception of themselves and their status in relation to men. From a litany of their discontents, feminism gathers an identity of women and formulate the demands and aspirations that will transform the social relations, conditions in which women and men will live, Betty Friedman's National Organization of Women is represented in congressional committees, especially the ones considered to be of special relevance to women. And the feminine mystique, of course, relates importance to the education of Black women in America. In the first wave feminism, males have played an important part as sponsors to introduce women into public life. At the same time, male feminism declined in the 20th century partly because women have sought increasingly the right to speak and act for themselves. Mary Church Terrell, as the president of the National Association of Colored Women, struggled for social equality of Black women in the educational sphere. For the elevation of Blacks, they found groups such as Colored Women's League, National Federation of Afro American Women, and National Association for Colored Women. Now it is the task of Black and the Third World women to educate white women in the face of tremendous resistance as to their existence, their difference, their relative roles in their joint survival. As Mitchell Wallace explains, the most popular justification Black women had for not becoming feminists was their hatred for white women. In 1973, organizations like Black Women Organization for Action and National Black Feminist Organization in New York were formed, in which they were emphatic about their identity as a group separate from white feminists. Towards the 20th century, the second stage of a women's movement raised the priorities of Black feminists regarding questions of struggle, of love, of personhood, and of Blackness. Women are different from men, they have argued, and there is such a thing as a woman's sphere in and through which women can and should exert influence. Taking this line of thought to its extreme, Suzanne Gordon has recently argued by transformative feminism, women's goal should be to change capitalism into a system based on caring, not competition. The tensions of identity politics are actually bringing feminism much closer to a third stage in which self transcends steps than many in the movement would like to believe. And of course, feminism means that a woman wants to push on to the finest, fullest, freest expression of herself. And this kind of thinking is now overrun by collective political necessity. Today, masses of Black women in the US know that their fear exists because they have seen Black women trampled upon, raped, abused, slaughtered, ridiculed, and mocked. Evils which are explicitly expressed through images in the novels of many women novelists like Alice Walker, Toni Morrison, Gloria Naylor, and many more. Now they are clearing a path for themselves and their sisters and hope to reach their goal no longer victimized, no longer unrecognized, and no longer afraid, but will take courage and follow. So, this search for self and place is an ongoing phenomena in American discourse. Often, Americans view this search as an age old concern, so that across the span of human history, both oral and written discourse appear to speak to a desire for a fully realized identity and place. In short, their lives and literature, both past and present, have been frequently defined by the desire to create and uncreate themselves and their places within and without the human community. Another example is Joyce Lardner, who writes, "We have always been free and able to develop as individuals, even under the most harsh circumstances. Beginning in slavery, the Black woman, unlike the male protected and pedestaled white women, was forced, since she could never be protected by her male slave counterpart, to develop into a mature, self reliant being. She was the first truly liberated American woman." And there's lots to talk about, but I will cut short my speech by telling you that this fluorescence of creative activity and the image of this new Black self definition on the part of Black women makes us perceive the existing Black female literacy tradition. The writings of these women novelists illustrate the collective consciousness which becomes a living experience for them, and it enables us to see humanity and the human experience with deeper insight and sensitivity. We see these Black women as tall and impervious, and when we see them beyond myths, we are renewed. And let me come to the present scenario of 25, 26. And when we come to this present scenario, let me tell you, Black women globally are experiencing a dual reality characterized by significant leadership, breakthroughs, and heightened economic vulnerability. They are recognized as the fastest growing group of entrepreneurs in the US and are reaching record levels of political representation, yet they simultaneously face higher unemployment rates and persistent barriers in corporate and public sectors. Now, political and social leadership in the United States of 2025 marked a record high for Black women in state legislative representation. For the first time, two Black women, Angela also Brooks and second Lisa Blunt Rochester, are serving simultaneously in the US Senate. And if we take and talk about global leadership and influence, Nyogi Okonjo-Iweala continues to lead the World Trade Organization, setting a precedent as the first Black woman to head a major multilateral organization in Africa. Women are redefining leadership across sections, focusing on a model of interdependence. So, finally, Black women often navigate both gender based and racial discrimination, with their leadership frequently scrutinized according to the analysis in 25-26 reports. And in response to corporate displacement, many Black women are turning to independent, digital, and service driven careers, shifting from workforce survival to wealth creation. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so very much. Please, can we give her well-deserved flowers in the floor in the chat room? I'm just about to give mine as well because she well deserves it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Dr. Sachdev, for that truly thought-provoking and illuminating presentation. And for me, this insightful exploration of the intersection between racism and feminism has provided us with a deeper understanding of the complexities that definitely surrounds the Black experience and the ongoing struggle for justice and identity. And of course, while listening to you, I was equally moved by the fact that your ability has been able to weave literary analysis with critical social perspectives that was both engaging and enlightening. And this has undoubtedly enriched our appreciation of how literature serves as a powerful tool for advocacy and change in the way you've presented your topic. And of course, we sincerely appreciate your time and, of course, your valuable perspective for all what you have shared today with us, especially giving us real life examples and in context. So thank you again for such an inspiring and impactful presentation. So please, can we give her another round of applause in the chat room? It's really been mind-blowing listening to you, Dr. Nechev. Please come again, because we are going to keep knocking your door for more of these very insightful presentations. We are so grateful. And as you take your seats, if you have any feedback for Dr. Neja, please do not fail to drop it in the chat room. If you have any questions for her as well, do not just go back home with that question. This might just be the time for you to listen to her answer everything so that you can be well clarified and well equipped to equally sensitize those around your spaces. So we are so grateful, ma'am, and we are definitely going to encourage you to warm your seat as we will be inviting the next speaker, and who is none else but one of us in the house, and of course another household name, Dr. Shimanes. And of course, it is very important to note that for those of us who are just joining us for the very first time, Dr. Shimanes is the Global Peace Let's Talk Coordinator for Gender Studies and founder and president of the Progressive Literary and Cultural Society. She is really well read, and of course, she has done a lot in order to encourage the well-being of women and the marginalized, not only within her sphere of influence, but across the world. So today, She will be speaking to us on racism in the Indian and international context. I would say most of us, especially in the African setting, may not have actually witnessed a lot around the racism aspect of it. And it will be interesting for you to be entreated to such presentations from Dr. Neja and Dr. Shimanes to understand what is really going on in the entire world, especially when we shift environment from one place to another. So today, Dr. Shimane's presentation will examine how racism manifests across different cultural and global contexts, encouraging us to think critically about both local and international dimensions of discrimination. So we are delighted to hear from you today. And so over to you, Dr. Shimanes. Thank you.
So much, Rosaline, for such a wonderful introduction. And thank you, Nirja ma'am, for an insightful presentation. I thank a very good afternoon, good evening, and to all the people around the world, to our team member, Dr. Nikki Depina, the CEO of GPLT, and all the other GPLT family members. So today, I will be speaking about people struggling against racism and racial discrimination in the Indian context as well as in the international context. If there is time, I will be able to speak, but this is a lengthy paper, so maybe next time we'll keep some lecture. Then I will discuss my complete paper. So, in the Indian context, I will be discussing about Dalit, tribal, women, transgender, and minorities. And in the international context, I will be discussing about African, Afro American, Roma, and migrant refugee. Refugee. So, and some of the terms are which are related with them, like xenophobia or Islamophobia or other thing. So, first of all, as we are celebrating the week of solidarity with people struggling against racism and racial discrimination from 21 to 27th, as designated by United Nations, the first day, which was yesterday, but because of Eid, we have organized this event today. So we are 21st March is the beginning of International Day, which is the International Day for the Elimination of Racial Discrimination. So let us first discuss why this week is celebrated, and particularly this day, 21st March. So it commemorates the 1930 Sharpeville massacre and promote global action against racial injustice. On 21st March 1916, Pan-Africanist, which is PAC, organized a protest in South Africa city of Sharpeville. At that time, South Africa was under apartheid rule, and there were lots of rules and regulation on the basis of race. So the demonstrator gathered at the police station, offering themselves up for not carrying passes. The South African police opened fire on a peaceful crowd protesting apartheid pass law in Sharp Valley, and killing 69 people, including women and children, and injuring nearly 200. This brutal massacre triggered international outrage and uh, uh, radicalized anti-apartheid resistance and caused the ANC and PAC to move from non-violent protest to armed struggle. So this is how a peaceful struggle of South Africa became an armed struggle because of provocation by the police, so by the government or administration. Now Sharpeville is recognized today as the pivotal point in the fight against racial segregation in South Africa. We all know how South Africa has struggled against racism and how Nelson Mandela and other people have fought against apartheid rule. And now there are no such rule, but this was not in recent decades. So uh, so 21st March is commemorated in South Africa as Human Rights Day, and it is designated by United Nations as the elimination of racial discrimination. So we as a GPLT members We are a peacemaker. We are giving tribute to the innocent victim of massacre, who had laid their life for the cause of uh, South African apartheid. So today I will be discussing about the racism in the Indian context first and later in the international context. When we talk about India, we see that India has a culture of discrimination since centuries, right from the ancient times. In the Indian social political frame, there are certain groups, sex, and gender which are believed to be marginalized as Dalit, tribal, women, transgender, etc. Marginalized or subaltern are those group of the social political menu who are considered as inferior than other so-called superior groups. And sometimes these subaltern groups are deprived of basic right and amenities as compared to the superior groups. So the Indian society, basic Indian society comprises of many religion, but basically the major religion, which is Hinduism, is comprises of four varna: Brahmins, which were the intellectual class, did not had to work; Kshatriyas, the warrior class, they had to fight for the nation. Vaishya, the business class, who used to do business and all, and they were merchant. Shudra, the servant class. They had to serve the all the classes, Brahman, Kshatriya, and Vaishya, as per their birth. If they are born in a Shudra, if a person is born in the Shudra's family, he has to be a servant throughout his life. He has no other choice. He or she has no other choice than to live a life which is marginalized, which has to be dependent on the lives of others. Sometimes they were like bonded labor also. Sudras were are the marginalized class in centuries who have beared enormous atrocity inflicted on them by the upper classes. Shudra community is also called as Dalit. The word Dalit is derived from Sanskrit word Dalita, that means oppressed. They have also been called untouchable. They were called untouchable means if by mistake they touch people of upper class, then they were beaten up. They were not allowed to drink water from the wells which were for upper class. They were not allowed to enter the temple. They were not allowed to touch religious buildings, or they were not allowed to enter wedding and all. They were just a servant class who were and we have seen that this in Canada or in USA, in Australia, or in New Zealand, settlers have made reservation for the native people, the indigenous people, in US and Canada for Red Indian, in Australia and New Zealand for the Aboriginal. But in the case of India, it was for the Shudras. They were just reserved in the small in their houses, and they had to just enter the houses of other class people just as a servant, and they were not allowed many basic right. They were not allowed to touch river, they were not allowed to touch well, and there are many other things which they were not uh, they were deprived of. So Shudra community, which is also called as Dalit. The word Dalit is derived from the Sanskrit word Dalita, that means oppressed. They have also been called untouchable by the upper three class, depriving them of the basic need which human being possess. So these communities have been living. So this community has been living in subjugation since the dawn of Indian civilization. They are marginalized, downtrodden, and subaltern group from century. Though the things are different now, Huh. Uh, though the things are different now, like uh, hmm. Because as per uh, there have been lots of reformers who have worked for them. So, in the case of Dalit, who were made to feel inferior since the caste system came into force in India, by the upper class, they were forced to the periphery or the edge of the society. They were humiliated and were forced to live a life of pains and suffering. But now things are different, as the Constitution of India give equal right and opportunity to every citizen of the country. Our Constitution strictly asks us to celebrate the diversity. India is a land which is considered a land of unity and diversity. So now there is a celebration of diversity which was not earlier. The diversity of a people and treat all its citizens as equal, irrespective of caste, creed, religion, and gender. This transformation has not happened abruptly, but it has taken a long time. The drastic change in the effort of many great reformer, writers, as well as emperor, who have stood firm against the right of these subaltern groups. But because of this effort of many social reformers since medieval era till present time, who fought against this evil practice being prevalent in India, that now we see a completely different society. That is was in the olden days. There have been some institutionalized effort made by many leaders, writers, as well as some emperor for the liberation of these downtrodden classes. So now the Indian society is a completely different society. And this transformation or reform movement can be traced back from the ages of Bhakti movement. The Bhakti cult was a secular movement in the history of India, which was also believed in removing inequality existing in the society on the basis of caste. Poet philosopher Kabir and Raidas advocated equality among various sections of the society. Even many of their followers followed their path, believed in a uniform society. During British rule, thinkers like Rao Phule, Periyar, B.R. Ambedkar and freedom fighter like Mahatma Gandhi took the initiative and started Dalit movement. This got the spark from the black movement of contemporary America. Gandhiji has given them a name as Harijan. So, meaning people of God. Although the Dalit have risen, but still there are many problems related to the existence in the uh, present scenario. So now I will be discussing about tribal. Tribal are also as marginalized group in India. Tribal community, which are called as Adivasi in our native language in India, constitute around 8.6% of the population, facing deep structural marginalization, including land alienation, high poverty, and low literacy, lacking significant control over resources. They often face displacement due to development project and forest law, leading to loss of culture, livelihood, and economic health and social inclusion. That is why there is a slogan in Hindi: Jal Jangal Zameen. Jal means water, Zameen means land, Jal means water, Jungle means forest, and Zameen means land. So they are fighting for water, forest, and land, which was there, and now most of it has been taken either by the government or by the capitalist. Um, Making them in the very deplorable stage. So, key aspect of tribal marginalization in India include land and resource dispossession. Historically, tribal land have been taken over for mining, industrial, and infrastructure project, causing large-scale displacement without adequate rehabilitation. Economic marginalization: a significant percentage of tribes live below the poverty line, relying on traditional skill, which are being replaced by modern industries. Social marginalization and discrimination. Tribal community often face struggle, neglect, and stigma, frequently treated as primitive in mainstream discourse, resulting in exclusion. Inadequate access to infrastructure. Tribal areas suffer from low literacy rate, roughly 59% in 2011, and limited access to quality healthcare, leading to high disease rates and malnutrition. Now, next is legal protection and challenges. While the Constitution offers safeguards like the fifth and sixth schedule, effective enforcement remains a challenge, and restrictive forest law like the Forest Act of 1927 have curtailed traditional livelihood practice. These groups are often concentrated in harshest ecological regions such as hills, forest, and dryland, having been forced away from fertile land. So, after this, I will be talking about now, like Nirja ma'am has already talked about women. Let me talk about transgender. A little bit about the women also, like women uh, women are also the marginalized class all over the world. We can term women in India or South Asia or Asian countries as marginalized, because all these society are patriarchal. They are, but there have been many reformers who have worked for the upliftment of status of women in India. During Mughal period, Emperor Akbar carried out many reforms which include women remarriage. In 1562, Akbar prohibited the age-long custom of enslaving the prisoner of war, selling their wives and children, etc. He was against the child marriage prevalent both among Hindus and Muslims in those days. He passed order prohibiting marriage before the age of 12 and between cousins, though permissible under Muslim law. Later, the lowest age of marriage was raised to 16 for boys and 14 for girls. Then he possessed a modern wife, and he granted all right to his wife, which was of different caste. Then we have Raja Ram Mohan Rai, who was a trailblazer, a personality who abolished the sati pratha in India. In India, there was a custom after the death of the husband, wife was burned with at the funeral of the husband. This was eliminated by Raja Ram Mohan Roy. He, with the help of Lord William Bentinck, the first Governor General of India, passed the Bengal Sati Regulation in 1829. Then, if we see the Muslim society, Sir Sayyid Ahmad Khan advocated the promotion of more Western education among Muslim in India. So, and there have been some women reformers like Savitri Bai Phule, who was the first female teacher of India, and then Fatima Sheikh, who supported her, and she was the second. Savitri Bai opened the first school of girls in India, and very well supported by Fatima Sheikh, who gave her land to her. Then there was Ruqayyah Sakhawat Hussain, who is also considered as a pioneer of second female educator of India. She has opened a school which is still running in Bengal, and she is also a feminist writer. She wrote a feminist utopia, is an which is an imaginary land for women where women are free to do anything and men are marginalized. So now I will be talking about transgender. One of the classes which has been very less discussed in the history is the section transgender, which also need attention. And it as it is one of the most deprived one. The unfortunate thing is that they have always been harassed and have been a subject of joke since their evolution. But times are changing and people are coming out and supporting them. So, how much the time is left, Rosalie?
You have like 5 minutes.
Okay, okay. So, like India is a land which has always lived in peace. India is a land where people of different community live in peace. But in recent time, due to the rise of right wing people in this government, there has been attack on minorities in India. Minorities are now minority, whether they are Muslim or Christian. There are certain rules have been made for them, like uh, in many places they are not they are deprived of some their religious right also. And there have been lots of attacks against Muslims and Christian in India in the recent time, which never happened during again during partition. There was a time when people of both the communities have fought against each other. But after this, that India was a very secular society. But in recent time, with the rise of with the rise of this right change now. So now in the international front, I will be talking about Africa. First, I will be talking about the people of Roma. Romani people, which are called as Roma, are an Indo-Aryan ethnic group with origin in northern India, especially Rajasthan, who migrated to Europe, even Rajasthan, even Punjab also. Because I met a lady some years back in a conference in a literature festival in Indore. She came from Europe, but she was a Roma people, and her origin was from Punjab. So not only from Rajasthan but Punjab also, and uh, they have migrated to Europe around the 10th century with a population of roughly 12 million. Primarily in Europe, they have a history of nomadism, unique cultural tradition, and language related to modern Indian language. They have historical faced extreme persecution and discrimination. Uh, uh, Linguistic and genetic evidence traces the Roma back to the Indian subcontinent, from where they migrated through Persia and a Byzantine world into Europe. They are referred as gypsy, a term considered an exonym, means sometimes a derogatory, while they call themselves Roma or Romani. Around 12 million people living in across Europe in different countries like Romania, Bulgaria, and elsewhere. The thing is that, see, the, the sad thing is that they have been living since 10th century, and but they don't have permanent houses, and they don't have nationality also. They are not they are considered, they are not given, means they don't have proper citizenship also after living for centuries. So I was not aware of these people unless and until I met a Roma woman in 2018 in Indore World Literature Conference. So lifestyle, historically they maintain an itinerant lifestyle at artist, metal worker, horse trader, and musician. And but these people have suffered centuries of persecution, including enslavement, forced assimilation, and Porasmus, and even the Holocaust during World War II. Now, many Roma are now settled, but facing persistent discrimination, high employment, and poor housing condition in many European countries. Uh, as per far as cultural identity, they are diverse group with various subgroup like Sinti, Manoche, Roma, and hold diverse religious belief, predominantly Christian or Muslim, or even Hindu, depending on upon region. And some people even had Hindu or background, but as they have adapted to the country they are living. Now coming to migrant and refugee community, we all have seen during the civil war in Syria and Iraq, when Syria was in the grip of so much of tension and chaos, and there was lots of countries which were fighting for their own end in Syria, and I think there were more than even Syria became a battleground for people exercising their power or showing their showing their arms deal. NATO, all the Middle Eastern countries, they all were. I think there were more than 20 or 30 countries fighting in this country, making the people to flee from the places. And even IS was holding the grip and slaughtering the people there. At that time, people were from Syria and Iraq were running and seeking asylum in other countries like European countries. They were thinking that it is better to go Europe, where there is more better prospect. And this there have been lots of casualty. I hope the world remember the child Aylan Kurdi, which was drawn in the water of Turkey. So some people were running to Turkey, some people, most of the people were running to European country. And during that time, there have been stories, lots and lots of stories, where people have faced lots of harassment, lots of atrocity. Some countries were not allowing them in their own country. I just want to say to all those countries, whether they are NATO, United States, or any country, if you don't want refugee in your house, then you don't mingle in the internal affair of any country. Whether a country, it is Syria, Iraq, Libya, or Yemen, or any country. If there is there is a dictator, it is the right of the people to change them. Who the hell are you to change the regime or change the government in the country? Whoever, wherever United States has fought, whether it is Iraq, Libya, Syria, or Iraq, Libya, Syria. They have just brought collateral damage and killed the innocent people, even in Afghanistan. And the same they are doing with the Iraq. Iraq has Iran is all now same they are doing in Iran. Iran has yes, Iran is fighting. Iran is defending himself. Iran is fighting for their own end. But they have also attacked many Middle Eastern country, including Israel and other country. But what did America did? America has targeted student, 180 girl student. When you talk about this school, why are you killing the innocent people? And you talk about the liberation of Iranian women. Go and see in Iran. See how many percentage of women in Iran are educated. So when it if you don't want refugee, then you should not send your armies to any country. Live in peace, let all the people of the world live in peace. With that, I end my uh, uh, lecture. And though I have to talk about African, and I have to talk about Afro American, but I think Nirja ma'am has already talked about that. So thank you very much for patiently.
Wow. Thank you so much. Please, can we give her the right flowers, the hearts, and all the chairs in the chat room? This is absolutely amazing, Dr. Shimanes. Handling all the different aspects. Like sometimes I almost saw myself in some of the situations. I almost saw myself picturing those around me in some of these realistic situations that you mentioned. So I wish to really thank you for courageously pointing some of these realistic situations out, not only within your context in the Indian circle, but also within the global context. This is really powerful and deeply engaging. And I feel that at least all of us that have listened to you have carried some take home messages that is going to turn things around in the way we even lead conversations around um, racial discrimination, racial injustice, because your ability has been able to enable us to draw connections between local realities and global patterns, which of course has been insightful, reminding us that while racism may manifest in varied forms, its underlying structures and impacts remain strikingly similar. And the clarity with which you articulated these complex issues, I must say, also combined with thoughtful examples that you've mentioned, made your presentations both accessible and profoundly of impact. So we are especially grateful to you for the way you encouraged us to reflect critically, especially on our own roles and responsibilities, on the roles of governments that are also, especially, I found the one about refugees and migrant populations here and there being toasted, and then you turn around, you want to also roll back in their various local countries. So it is something that should really ignite global conversations around this topic. So thank you once again for sharing your expertise and for such an enlightening and memorable session. We will really appreciate. So the floor is open for us to really share some insights regarding these thoughtful presentations by Dr. Shimanes and Dr. Neja. And one of the things I'll really like one of them to address is systemic racism. And this is something that sometimes comes in a very discreet manner. And a lot of migrants who live from Africa, from the Asia continent, from different parts of the world, actually face when they find themselves in advanced countries like in Europe, in the United States, face gross systemic racism attributes. So how can such people rise above these systemic racism tendencies, especially at the workplace where they find themselves at the mercy of, well, they're in a very strange environment, it's not their home, and they just have no choice, or they have little or no choices. So how can they at least find their way in between and still rise above such systemic inequalities or racism? Do we have any of our speakers to talk about this systemic racism?
Yes, I would like to state that even when these blacks, or rather, when due to the basis of color, when you feel that discrimination, that racism can be avoided, can be overlooked only when the person himself, that is, the blacks themselves, should not feel inferior in any way to the whites or to the other class or caste or color, because they are equally advanced, they are equally educated, they are equally capable in sharing their ideas, their views, and they are equally good leaders also. So that feeling of inferiority, of being looked down upon and not being given an equal status, that makes them draw back. But that should be, wait, that's what I'm trying to say, establishing one's own self and giving space to one's own self in society, in community, in institutions, then and then only this racism might include, may try to be, I mean, it is trying to be wiped out and it is being wiped out, but making a stand for one's own self, that is more important, and never feeling low.
Thank you very much, Dr. Naja. That is well articulated there, and really, really appreciate that. And this is so perfect because sometimes we just give ourselves that low self-esteem, that whatever is dished out on us, we just take it because we find ourselves in a place of vulnerability. But we need to speak up. We need to actually find ourselves in a state where we are able to see ourselves as equal with other human beings, be, not even looking at the circumstances that brought us to wherever we find ourselves. And for Akshaya, who says, with reference to the right wing in India you mentioned, what is the strategy employed to treat the minorities with respect and equality? So can we have Dr. Shimanes? If you can unmute your microphone, what is the strategy employed to treat minorities with respect and equality?
India give equal right to all. Constitution of India give equal rights and opportunity to all. And as a society also, in society also, we all live peacefully. We celebrate each other festival with peace, which has always happened. Recently, there are lots of groups which create disturbance, which pass different rules, and which means hate speeches. So the only I would like the politician or head of the our country or head of the different state to keep these people check. They should not give hate speeches against anybody. And I always say that India as a whole is a secular country, and people of India love each other, and we celebrate festival with each other. Constitution gives equal right and opportunity to all, and Only the thing is that we have to follow the constitution, and there are some right wing groups or hooligans, they don't follow, and they just keep uttering nonsense words, and they are being popularized by our media. Our media, Indian media, most of the channel have become hate monger channel, and only there is the government, whether it's state at, or national level has to check the hate monger belonging to any community.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Shimanes. I'm sure that is well responded to, and hopefully, Akshaya, you are okay with the feedback, and we want to actually appreciate the progress that is being made in that dimension. Also, as we have this feedback from Dr. Mugisho, thank you for being part of the event today, and he says, a great idea, equal status promotion can reduce racism. No race should be above others. Just like Dr. Nija actually said a while ago. And of course, thank you, Akshaya, who says, very well presented. Thank you to Dr. Shimanes for the feedback. And just one last one from my end, just to find out from you, Dr. Shimanes. There is this aspect where you mentioned around, I'm happy that if in African countries we have things like xenophobia, at least it should now start picturing what we also find in Western countries. And you discover that at some point, there is that stigma that actually happens when people find themselves in strange environments, and they are being given all sorts of, they change laws every now and then they find themselves in a very vulnerable state. What can such persons do, especially in terms of migrants, in terms of refugees that flee from their different countries to seek for refuge, but then they are looked upon as a huge burden in their current settlements?
Nikki, Nikki, Rosalind, we have seen not that if some countries have unwelcome refugees, there were countries who have welcome also. Like during that time, Chancellor of Germany,
Mhm.
Helen, the lady Chancellor of Germany, she welcomed refugee with open arm, and she was even called as mother of refugees. Remember, uh, and there have been other countries also who have welcomed refugees with open arms. So not there are not all the countries who are discriminating refugees also. Many countries have. So the thing is that why to create war? Why should we create war? If the war is not created, then there will be no refugee crisis. And you remember in, I think it is during 2013 14 means 10 12 years back, there was such a huge refugee crisis that even the United Nation was not able to handle it. Organization. I mean, there is an Indian NGO, Khalsa Aid International. They have worked in those war zone when even United Nations vehicle was not able to go there. They have worked in Syria. They have worked in Iran. They have provided aids during the turbulence time during civil war in Syria, in Iraq, in Palestine, and in all those countries. So there are lots of NGOs also. Like if United Nation is when UNICEF or Red Amnesty International, or there are Red Crescent Society, Red Cross Society, sorry, Red Cross Society, and Indian NGO also, Khalsa Aid International, they have provided aid during when there was earthquake in Turkey and Syria and other countries also. There are lots of NGOs also, but most important thing is that why these crazy leaders who when they get position, they like to fight war. Nobody, not a native of any country wants war. See, if United States goes to war with any country, then the even then the people of the native people of or the citizen of American, they come out on the street demanding their own leaders to stop the war. So nobody around the world wants war, but there are these politician, crazy politician who wants war. So if they want war, why don't they themselves go and fight in the war? If they are sending the innocent, they are sending the innocent soldier who have the families, and their family are deprived of them also because they die. These politicians, they don't die, they just sit and give command. So if there is no war, I think there will be no refugee crisis or many other crises which we are having. And we as a whole, we can also help these NGOs. Like I always support Khalsa Aid International. They have offices, they have centers in India also.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Well responded to. I really appreciate the fact that also you looked at it from another angle and then you balanced it up. If we don't have the conflicts, the violent things that happen in our different setups, then we wouldn't see people fleeing from one place to the other for refuge. So we need to also cease fire, stop the wars, and stop the man's inhumanity to man. And then, of course, we will see even the numbers reducing, finding people going back to their homes and enjoy what they call home is home. So thank you, Dr. Shimanes. And at this point, we want to proceed to the closing remarks, but we would like to capture this moment. Please, let's kindly switch on activate our cameras if you're comfortable, so that we can share our smiles as we take a screenshot to commemorate this important gathering. So please kindly activate your cameras. Joseph, if you can help us to take some pictures, this will really, really be of great help for us to immortalize today's events. And as
Nirja
we
ma'am, please
activate,
open your camera.
please, as we
Nirja
activate our
ma'am, please open.
cameras, we would just like our guest speakers to just give us one sentence, one take-home message for today. Just one sentence. Dr. Neja, what message are you passing across in one sentence to us all today? Dr. Neja, if you can activate your microphone, one sentence, what message do you wish that we carry back home or to our various spaces today?
My one message is that we should not talk about racism. In fact, we are all equal. We all stand at equals because we are all humans. And being humans, we are individuals as well as we should be together. Stand together. Stand together
Thank you
and
very
be.
much. Thank you very much. Together we are stronger. Together we are stronger. Together we'll see each other in the light of each other. So, and they always say, Ubuntu spirit, I am because you are. Thank you so much for those very mind-blowing take-home messages there. So, Dr. Shimanes, in one sentence, what would be your take-home message?
Let us try to eliminate all kind of racism and discrimination from the world and live with love, peace, equality, and humanity.
Perfect. Perfect. That's like on point. You've just summarized everything there, and it's all about carrying those virtues around us. And of course, racism will become a thing of the past. Thank you so much, our dear Dr. Shimanes and Dr. Neja. And it is now my honor to invite the host and the founder and the CEO of the Global Peace Let's Talk, Dr. Nikki Dipina, to deliver to us a few closing remarks. Thank you, Dr. Nikki. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Rosalind. And Dr. Nirja and Dr. Shamanas, thank you so much. It's just been such a powerful presentation to make a difference. So please know that you appreciate it. And then to everybody who attended, lots of love. We really appreciate you joining us because together we can make a difference. It's just magical when all of you join and your voices are also here. And then lastly, to Rosalind, you really are just simply awesome. And Joseph Acanoli, an absolutely amazing team for putting all of these events together, and all of the communication team that assisted. Thank you so much from my heart. So everybody have a good rest Sunday and a good week forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nikki. Our love, our hearts to you for those inspiring and impactful remarks. And as we begin to bring this session to a close, I'd like to extend a sincere vote of thanks, joining my voice to that of Dr. Nikki, to our distinguished speakers for today. You have been the fire that has been lit in this session for today, Dr. Neja and Dr. Shimanes, for sharing your knowledge and perspectives. We share our respect, our love, and our appreciation to you. And to our esteemed host, Dr. Nikki, for your leadership and vision, we say thank you. And not forgetting all our participants around the world, thank you for your time. And I'll take this time to say thank you, Akshaya. Thank you, Ekembe Mirabel Kennedy, Manju, Prisha Paul, and of course, Dr. Mugisho, and many others who came in and out. And maybe because of network could not be able to sustain the conversation, but we say a huge thank you to you all. And a special appreciation goes to our communications team members who put together all of this, Norman Zaki, Joseph Akinola, Nuzat Mustafa, and of course, Dina Itawila for their contributions. And we say also thank you for your excellent technical support and coordination behind the scenes. So let's continue to move beyond awareness and taking meaningful actions in our communities. And just to mention that on the 24th of March, we shall be having another mind-blowing event. 24th of March, permit me just to get to it. And this event is going to be centered around the International Day for the Right to the Truth concerning gross human rights violations and for the dignity of victims. So we shall be having it on the 24th of March so that we can be able to unveil some of the truths that concerns the gross human rights violations we find in different specific violent contexts, and equally to safeguard the dignity of victims. And this is what we are advocating in the Global Peace Let's Talk. So kindly prepare to join this conversation on the 24th of March, same time. So please share the news, and we're also going to reach out to you with the link of this event. So with that, I officially declare the event closed, and also want to thank you again for your kind and keen attention. Thank you, everyone. And it's been an insightful session, joining my voice with Mirabel and Akshaya, who says thank you to Dr. Nikki and her team. Keep it up, angels. So thank you, everyone. And we can now exit at our convenience. And we wish you a blessed time and a fruitful week ahead.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, GPLT.